Due to a technical issue with the mics, we've had to use the Zoom audio as our source for the presenters. However, we thought this episode was just too good to miss, so please sit back and enjoy this chat with Team GB event rider, Justine Dutton.
Along the way, obviously, like you mentioned, was your fall that you had.
My brain hit the back of my eyes so hard that it basically obliterated the optic nerve. I mean, the fall itself was, I probably should be dead. Luckily, if the horse had landed on me like a couple inches further another way, I would have been.
This episode is sponsored by Half Step Equestrian. Sweat-proof, durable, and made from the highest quality materials. This is a base layer you don't want to miss. Get yours for the exclusive launch price of $59.99 and start feeling confident in your athletic attire. And keep an eye out for the special deals and promotions only available on our website and social media feeds, halfstepequestrian.com.
Lovely, welcome back to the Only Tools and Horses podcast. Here, we are joined with a special guest. Josh, I'll allow you to do the introduction.
Well, I'm not sure whether to refer to you as my aunt or cousin. So I call you my aunt, you call me your cousin. So
I'm not your aunt, I'm your cousin.
I was going to say, for anyone just listening, they'll be very confused about the structure of that sentence.
No, thank you so much. So yeah, we've got Justine Dutton here today with us. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And basically, first things first is how did you end up starting? Like, how did you get into riding? Because you came from a non-horsey background, really, didn't you? So
yeah, it was actually your mum and your grandma, I guess, that got me into riding initially. I would go up and just to the stables at their place in the summer and ride, and they kind of got me into it from there. And then your grandma loaned me a pony, which actually was your pony for a while, wasn't it?
Well,
did you have Lucky? Yeah.
I didn't have Lucky, but I think he died when I was really young. But obviously, I hear all the stories about him and everything. But yeah, no, I never got to ride him. I had Toby, but I don't know if Toby was there when you were there.
Yeah, I remember Toby. He was the miserable one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he done 3 generations of the family: my nan, my mum, and myself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
A lot of ponies.
Yeah, they definitely made it through his family.
Yeah, amazing.
So Justine, you're in America at the moment. Whereabouts in America?
Florida.
So it's a lot hotter than what it is here right now. What's the weather over there?
80 degrees and sunny.
Yeah,
it's actually it's a bit too hot. You know, the horses are sweating and we're sweating, and it's just it's hot. It's been summer.
You was originally from the UK, weren't you?
Yeah. So I was
what made the
Worthing.
Worthing. So you completely understand the weather that we're having right now going into December. It's horrible.
Yeah, why do you think I left?
Well, that brings me on to my first question. Why did you emigrate to America?
Other than the weather?
Other than the weather. I would go just happily for the weather.
Yeah. I just got offered some kind of job opportunities out here. I actually started in Canada and kind of worked there. I just wanted to do something different, you know. And then I ended up in the US and kind of worked out here. My initial plan wasn't necessarily to stay, but I ended up liking it so much that I kind of applied for a green card and ended up staying.
Wow, never look back.
No, because you made such a big step as well, literally going out there by yourself. No one else you knew. That's crazy. Obviously, for me, it's a lot easier when I came over. I was like, I've got you to pick me up from the airport.
It was definitely a learning experience, that's for sure. Because I was young. I came out when I was like 19, 20. So, you know, I came out not really knowing much and just had to kind of pave my own way a little bit. But it all worked out well.
Yeah, literally. Obviously, I came out to you 6 years ago now. And
was it that long?
Yeah, 6 years ago. It's crazy how quickly that's gone. And then I was the first one from the family to watch you compete, wasn't I? That was Red Hills, wasn't it?
Red Hills. And you walked the course and you were shitting yourself.
I was so scared. I've never been so scared in my life. It was awful. I've never been so nervous either. I hated every moment. Really? It was so bad. It was so bad. I remember walking the course and being like, You've got to jump that somehow. Oh, it's horrible.
Oh
Absolutely
yeah, to be
horrible.
fair, so Josh has shown me some of the clips of you riding and tries to put it in simple terms for a non-rider about how high these what would you call them, fences are that you jump over, and he's like, yeah, right, you're not coming.
I used to do the eventing. So when Josh came, it was the cross country, and the cross country was a bit over 4 feet high, but it was more kind of wide, like big wide tables and big drops, like as tall as Josh into the water, and skinnies and gates and hedges and all that kind of stuff. But now I just show jump. And I mean, that's actually a lot bigger, but the jumps fall down. So I show jump at like 1.40 meters, 45. So yeah, that's pretty tall.
And you also did the bareback cuisson.
I did a bareback.
That was mental. So that's no saddle. And like, how big was that? You got so high.
I think it went up to 5'11".
No saddle.
No saddle.
No saddle with no saddle.
You're crazy.
Yeah. Well, I won $1,000.
To be fair, if a gram was on the line,
I really kind of, I needed that at that point, so I was like, yeah.
So how did you find it? Obviously, you went to Canada and then ended up moving to America, and then obviously ended up setting up what you've now established. How was that whole process? Was it because obviously you had a little bit of time in the equestrian industry over here in the UK? Was it easier in America, or what? How was it different?
It's probably, honestly, it's a lot less structured. Like in the UK, everyone goes through Pony Club and BHS, and it's very much, you can't go to riding schools and such without being kind of registered or having BHS affiliation and such. Whereas here, literally, like anyone could set up shop and call themselves a horse trainer. Not saying that's what I did or wanted to do, but that certainly made it easier. You don't have to kind of jump through any hoops to sort of do it. So, I mean, I'd say that's a big difference. And I guess there's just so many, maybe more trainers and riders and such in the UK. It's been a lot easier to make a business out here. Everything's also a lot cheaper out here too.
Do you find the people and their attitudes in America are slightly different to the UK? One of the consistent things that I'm slowly learning about the industry, especially over in the UK, is almost a very elitist industry. It's not very inclusive. What's the people's approach towards the equestrian industry in the States?
I think it's probably, in that respect, not much different. I think people on the outside looking in, probably it could come across as that way. But I think most people I know are not like that, but there is certainly that level of people on the very upper tier that would very much come across that way. But I mean, most people I know try and be inclusive, and it's not kind of perceived as elitist. But like I said, from the outside, I could see how it would look that way. I mean, it's not the easiest industry to get into, I don't think.
No, it's funny you say that as well, because obviously you talk about the structure, that there's not much structure out in America. But if you compare the way you're looked after at competitions, I remember going to Red Hills and being absolutely gobsmacked. Like, you've got the quad bike after you finish waiting for you to get you back to the stable. That was crazy. And you're over here and you're like, yeah, you're lucky if you've got a burger fan on site, sort of thing. It's mental.
Well, to be fair, Red Hills is a pretty good one. I took you to one of the top ones. They're not all like that.
No.
But, I mean, a lot of the shows are. I mean, yeah, but a lot of the shows like Tryon has its own like on-site restaurants and shops, and I mean, it's beautiful. And trying to think where else. Like lots of other places kind of have all kinds of, great food options and whatnot, just trying to get spectators in. It's been a bit different this year. But but there's also your kind of backyard ones as well, which you would have your burger van or whatever, and
yeah, of course. So again, like comparing it back to the UK, would you say you get a lot more spectators out there as well? Is it because from the videos that I see? No.
At Red Hills is like very much a different one. That,
Right.
and
okay.
I'm just using that because you came, so you saw
Yeah,
it.
yeah, of course. Good example.
Red Hills, it's like that whole city, it's their kind of thing. So they all go, horsey people or not. Whereas, you get a lot of people going to like the big shows, like Kentucky or whatever. But for the most part, there's a lot more spectators in the UK. I think it's more part of the culture in the UK too. Most people have a clue about horses in the UK, even if you don't. Like you have more of a clue than Americans that don't know anything about horses.
Do you know what? The irony sits in my response in that, and it's I'll categorise it. I know nothing, so there we go. I can hold the flag to the UK and the States for those people. Is the competition much different between the States? So from what I believe here, it's quite difficult to get into this industry. I mean, I feel like it's quite universal. It's difficult to get into the industry. You've got to go through what I believe is Pony Club, or have to be brought into a family that have grown up around horses. What is it like for people getting into that industry in America? Is there any difference to that?
No,
Vast competition.
I think it's the same. Like, I think, again, if you're kind of born into a family or you come from money, it's obviously a lot easier. I think, I think maybe you can work your way up a little easier in the UK, perhaps, than here. In the UK, there's so many more kind of riders, I think, and so many well-known riders. And then you're so close to Europe as well. So you could, easily apply to go and work for one of them as a working student or whatever. And it's the same here, but, a lot of the big riders actually charge people to come and be working students for them, which I don't really get.
Out in the States? That's crazy. So basically you're paying to go and experience being on a top international rider's yard. That's mental.
You're paying to work, essentially. Like, I know some top professionals will do that. Like, or you'll go and you can maybe keep your horse there, but that's it. You don't get paid. You don't get anything.
So you're working for free or paying to work?
Working for the education and lessons. Right. But, again, sometimes you have to pay for that experience, which I always found bizarre.
I find you have to put it down to like the questionable side of the moral behind it. Is you can understand people going, right, I need to invest, especially financially, for myself. I need to open myself up to the opportunities to better my knowledge. But at the same time, that sounds very much like a money-making scheme at top level, where you've gone, right, well, I've got a standing in society. Let me exploit that to the highest level that I can. Have people that don't have the ability that I have, and just take their fucking money, because that does not make any sense for someone that's trying to get into it. What do they achieve to get out of that other than debt, potentially?
And I think that would sort of be more aimed for people with money that could do it. But again, that sort of cuts off the kids that want to go there and work but have to financially support themselves too. And if they're not getting paid, then that's impossible.
Yeah, and that's normally that tier, probably the next generation of rider is the one that wants to work hard and probably doesn't have the financial backing of, say, someone that's got mum and dad supporting them and providing as much like sort of.
And that's just a matter of sort of finding the right people to work for that, you can build opportunities with, You're
really wrestling with it. Don't write down. That's it. You're done.
He's gone now.
He's just run off now.
Done with camera time.
She's giving me side eye on the way.
You can have cuddles after.
She's not happy.
Was it difficult establishing yourself as a Brit in America?
No, not really, because it's sort of a novelty. Everyone loves an accent, and it's easy. No, not easy, but everyone. It's a novelty. People are like, oh, it's the token Brit. They've got an accent. So I actually see that as a big plus.
So do you think that worked in your favor then?
Yes,
so
definitely.
If you compared it to maybe trying to make a career in the UK, was it easier being in America or harder, do you think?
Oh, easier as in everything's cheaper out here. Like,
yeah.
So I wouldn't have been able to do what I do now in the UK. And there's more competition. I think the standard is so much higher in the UK at all levels. So there would probably be like 50 of me in the kind of immediate area as opposed to like 10 of me over here, sort of thing, if that makes sense. And also the UK is such a smaller country. Everyone's so concentrated in small areas. So it's easy to kind of, be in competition with someone 10 miles down the road, whereas the US is such a big country. You might not have such a large concentration of professionals in one area.
Going back to a point that you mentioned about pricing that is a lot cheaper and very different to the UK. For someone that doesn't really understand, I've only just sort of understood the level of what it takes to one feed and keep a horse alive on a weekly basis, let alone what the purchase is, and then there's the commission rates for people involved.
Yeah.
What is the comparison? Just give me a few examples what it would be to the UK to America.
I'm probably going to be wrong now because you're going to tell me that it is more cheaper.
It's okay. We've got a big TV screen with all the facts on it.
I mean, I don't know. What do you pay for hay? Actually, hay in Florida is a poor example because hay in Florida is really expensive. But up in
really expensive over here this year because we have like a shortage because it was so dry. So we've got a real shortage at the moment. So like hay is so expensive. I think for like a big round bale as such, like £50 now.
What do you pay for just like a normal £50 square bale, sort of, just your normal 2-string sort of?
2-string. I wouldn't even know. Maybe like £8.
Okay, well that is expensive. In Pennsylvania, when I lived there, we were paying maybe like $5 to $8 a bale, which would be, I don't know, £3 to £5 perhaps.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I guess like it's difficult this year because we've had a shortage, but
yeah. But in Florida, it's much more expensive. But because they don't grow it down here.
Yeah, of course. So it gets travelled over, of course.
Well, we get it. It comes from Pennsylvania or Canada, but we end up paying a minimum $12 a bale, at a minimum, for a small bale.
That's crazy.
So now I feel ripped off from pets at home because I used to have rabbits and I used to pay like £6.99 for a small medium pack. Now I'm thinking, you know what? I've been going to the wrong suppliers and I've got an issue.
That's why you needed. That's why you needed horse friends. You could just go.
Exactly.
You literally just need to go to the yard and like take a flake of their hay and be like, I'm borrowing this.
I can almost see it now. Josh, someone's been in the yard again. I'll be like, yeah, mate, I'm so sorry. Needless to say, the rabbits were too expensive. After all. But then again, you run horses, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but you've got French bulldogs now. You're in for
well, the French bulldogs aren't mine. They are the missus. She's literally just picked them up, and they're like I say, they're only like 9 weeks old, and she does. They're like her babies, and they're very well looked after and mothered. I sort of come in and like, kids, how are we? I'm off. Pick them up, put them down. But they are lovely. They sleep all the time, which is amazing.
So Just, when you went out to America, were you planning to get into eventing? What did you have a plan, or was it just like did you just go one day? Why not, sort of thing?
Yeah, I went to Canada first, and I literally was living in London and working in London, and I'd ridden as a kid, like pretty seriously, and then I stopped when I was 16, and then I got to 18 and have been working in London and was like, I kind of want to go back to horses. And I literally found a job on the internet and called up a friend and was like, hey, you want to go to Canada? And she's like, yeah, why not? So we went out there, and then after a year, I think it was, or 6 months maybe, we came back because we had to for visas and such, and she stayed in England, but I went back, and then I ended up getting a job in the US and sort of moving down there, and then the rest is history. But I mean, I was into the eventing kind of once I was in Canada, I kind of did a bit of everything, but I sort of got more into that. And then I worked on a couple of eventing yards in the US. So I kind of specialized in that then.
How did you find it working on the yards out in the US? Was it different to over here, or?
I mean, it wasn't as wet. It wasn't as muddy.
Nice to ride in.
Yeah, not really. I mean, horses are horses at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, it doesn't change too much from yard to yard.
And people are people, you know. Like, it depends who you work for.
Yeah, exactly. Did you get many opportunities, or did they help you along the way, or was it like No,
I worked at a sales barn, and you know, she would, you know, give me a lot of the sales horses to ride, and so I get to compete them. And this was when I was very young, but I'd also get to see kind of the inside of, like, you know, behind the scenes of how she sold horses and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I sort of learnt from that. And then I worked at another kind of boarding place, training place. And again, I learnt different things. I took away different things from different places. So ultimately I was ready to kind of start out on my own when I was ready. And after that, I was kind of ready. And I think I was maybe 24 when I sort of started out on my own. And, you know, just started small with, I think I had like a four stool barn that kind of had a couple clients in, and just sort of kept building. And, you know what it's like. You just got to keep trying and keep trying to get people interested, and just keep trying to be relevant. And, you know, that's all you can do, really. You know, if you don't come from, you know, big money behind you, you've got to figure out other ways to make it happen.
Exactly. And I think it's quite good for a lot of people to hear that, because we have a lot of sort of like questions, what I do anyway, about can you make it if you don't have the financial backing of your parents? Like, if you haven't got the money do you need horsey parents, and all these questions? And really, you're sort of like a perfect role model for that, because you just went and made your own opportunities.
It's interesting for me.
I showed up in the US with $100.
$100.
Yep.
Wow.
And yeah, I worked for somewhere to live, and I mean, I didn't have any debt or anything at that point, but you know, I worked for somewhere to live. Small salary, and you know, you just get to know more and more people along the way, and eventually someone kind of offers opportunity, you know.
Well, can you remember the moment or was there a moment that you felt that, having made that risk and that jump and grafting as hard as you have, where you went, it's looking up, like was there a moment where you went, actually, this was the right decision?
I wouldn't say there was a moment. I don't think I ever thought it was the wrong decision. Honestly, I never, ever regretted going, ever, not once. So, but, you know, again, with the horse industry, you have that moment, and then the next day your horse is lame for 6 months and you're back at the bottom of the pile again. So, yeah, I wouldn't say there was like a specific like light bulb. Oh my God, this happened. I'm going to make it now. But it's just kind of chipping away almost, you know.
So in regards to making it, what is like your proudest achievement? Where has your career led to that is standard to recognised?
I mean, you know, at this point in my life, you know, I evented, and I actually managed to ride on the Nations Cup team for the UK twice in eventing. I evented through Advanced and 4-star and had some good results. After I had my bad fall 3 years ago, I kind of decided to focus on show jumping a bit more. And I'd built a fairly successful sales business at that point with my connections in the UK. I would import horses via my connections in the UK, and kind of was quite good at producing them and selling them in the US to amateurs and juniors. So with that, and then I just decided I wanted to just show jump. And now I have, you know, a farm in Florida with my other half, and we have 5 jumpers right now, and the rest sale horses and training horses. And, you know, I'm really lucky in my life now. I can pick and choose what I want to ride. I don't have to ride the crap anymore, all the dangerous ones. And I can teach who I want to teach. I don't have to put up with clients in the barn. Like, we're in a really good position now that we can sort of, pick and choose and do what we want a bit. So I suppose that would mean I would be very happy where I am at in my life currently.
But it's been a real, like, obviously being family. Obviously, I know a lot more than most people, but it's been a real journey for you along the way. So obviously, there's so much more to it that I sort of know. But I guess along the way, obviously, like you mentioned, was your fall that you had. Firstly, obviously, for us as family, it was so hard when that happened because obviously you don't have family out there. No, so
not blood family anyway.
No, exactly. So I remember like my nan panicking, bless her, the whole time. Obviously, when we were hearing what had happened and everything, and being in a position where we couldn't come see you. But obviously, there was a lot to that for you, and the knock-on effect was that you stopped eventing and you went into show jumping. That must have been a really difficult time for you.
It was. I mean, I mean, the fall itself was. I mean, I probably should be dead. I mean, luckily, if the horse had landed on me like a couple inches further another way, I would have been. And I had some pretty severe injuries and then lost the eyesight in my right eye because of like major head damage, and my brain hit the back of my eyes so hard that it basically obliterated the optic nerve. So that was
how did that fall? I'm trying to imagine that. How did that fall happen?
It was actually at the Nations Cup, live on TV, around the country, around the world, like on live stream. I was the first one out on course. So it was quite a public thing. And then the horse just flipped over going into the water, like into the drop into the water, like flipped over and like did a somersault and landed on me in the water.
So you like landed the horse on top of you and then flipped?
Yeah.
He flipped and then landed on me. Yeah. So it was probably good it was in the water. So it, I suppose, like took some of the impact.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that was rough. I mean, especially the eyesight thing. But I mean, I'm totally used to it now. But, initially when you're in the hospital and you're like, I was in the hospital and like, I'm like, I can't see. And the doctors, oh, it's fine. It's normal. And like, we had to like fight to even see a eye specialist and he didn't really give us anything conclusive. When we went to like the top eye specialist who we happened to know through friends. And that's when he was like, did proper tests and was like, yeah, you're screwed. Basically, like it wasn't going to get better. So that was sort of hard to hear, But it could just like be gone in an instant, and there's nothing you can do. I'm always someone that is like, there's a solution to everything, but it was like, well, no, you're not going to fix that.
But it was a life-changing moment, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. And it could have been life-changing in positive or negative ways, really.
Of course. And I guess really like how you've taken it is you flipped what was probably one of the biggest moments in your life. And now 3 years down the line, like you say, it's the most, well, from the family outlook, it's the most secure, been in one spot, obviously settled down with Chris now.
Yeah,
and everything,
exactly.
Look, obviously, I know everything's not, as we know, there's so much more behind it, but for you, it's like the happiest you've like been, and it looks amazing from outside, of course, with the very easy for it to, but from that point of view, it's so nice to see that transition in that short period of time to where you are now. But how do you look back on that fall now? Is there almost that trauma to it still, or have you been able to look at it in a different light and go, you know what? Because obviously I had my bad fall, 5 years ago now, where I had again smacked my head and had like 3 seizures and stopped breathing and stuff, and then again, like my eyesight as well was affected, and I had.
I mean, does it run in the family or something?
I don't feel like I want to be trained by you guys. Right? I'm not going on a horse with your like supervision. Like, that's for sure. Like, I feel like that is just a given.
So yeah, and obviously for me at the time, like you said, it's so scary because like you say, there's not really a solution. Whereas, especially with horses, I think maybe that's why we look at it, is because with horses you're always working, there's always setbacks, but you always find a way of working. But then there's something completely taken out of your hands. That now I'm in the position where I can go, actually, you know what? I'm glad that happened because it's allowed me to do certain things. How has your perception changed from like now looking back, or is it still hard?
I'd say yes. It caused a lot of things to fall into motion that have helped me become what I am and what I have today. You know, like it made me, and I honestly never loved the cross country at that level. There's people out there that just love doing it and it's their favorite thing in the world, and I just didn't. And after that, I evented for another year on my young horse and was really successful, but I was spent the whole time forcing myself to want to do it. Like I was like, why can't you want to do it like all these other people do? And ultimately it came to the point where I was like, you know, I'd cry before going out on course every time. Like, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, but it's, you know what it's like. It would be like if, you know, you were like, okay, I'm not going to do dressage anymore. I'm going to go and do show jumping. Like it would be
not happening
hard.
anytime soon, trust me.
But it would be hard to like
completely
jump into that industry, right? Yeah, like it's still within the industry, but it's still like a different sport. Yeah. So, you know, luckily I'd show jumped a little bit on the side and I always enjoyed it.
And you're quite talented. You're always quite talented at it. I remember obviously watching you at Red Hills. So it was in a way one of your biggest assets. So
well, and I always enjoyed the show jumping the most and was the best at it out of the three phases, really. So I was like, okay, well, so I just sort of started on that journey a bit. And, you know, again, it wasn't like starting again by any means because my horses were good jumpers and but I did have to sort of sell the event horses and buy the jumpers and, you know, sort of just transition over and, you know, meet people through people and kind of start going to the shows and getting to know people. And, you know, it went from being someone in the eventing world that everyone knew to stepping into the jumper world who nobody knew.
Yeah. Was that quite nice or scary going from like, almost because there's an element of pressure when everyone knows you and an expectation, whereas now it's almost like sometimes it's nice to almost have a fresh start. What was it? How did you find it?
I don't know. It was like, I was a little unsure initially because you go to the shows and not know anyone, whereas before you know, be able to chat to everyone and know everyone. And so from that perspective, it was sort of like you felt a little, not alone because I had people with me, but, you know, just not a part of it yet. But now I've met so many people and everyone's great and, you know, I am a part of it. And I guess there's a lot less pressure in that it's a new thing. You know, I'll go in the Grand Prix and there's not pressure to win because I'm not quite at that point yet, you know, but I put pressure on myself to do well. And, you know, we've gotten good horses so I can give myself the best chance and the best opportunity to learn and do well.
We've got you covered here at Half Step Equestrian. High quality athletic clothing that you can rely on. This top really does it all. Durable, sweat-proof and an added bonus of cool. Get yours now from the exclusive launch price of $59.99 at halfstepequestrian.com.
So where do you see yourself going with the jumping? Is like, have you set yourself ambitious? Where are you taking the show jumping now?
I mean, I haven't set any like goals in like I want to go to the Olympics, I want to do this or that. So I mean, you know, I'm jumping at the Grand Prix level now, and I have 2-3 horses at that level, and some nice ones coming up behind them. And you know, I just want to keep getting better and being successful. And there's good money classes over here nationally, so that's a big difference, I guess. You know, we can jump a $25,000 meter 45 Grand Prix without it having to be FEI. It's just national. Whereas in the UK, I think that kind of money would be like FEI stuff.
Yeah, I remember being at like a riding club show up at the Royal Windsor, and I ended up winning where I went to Kentucky, where we saw you over in Kentucky, where I won that trip. And I remember the show jumpers had just gone in like the main arena at Windsor and come out, like their winner come out. And I remember I can't remember who won it, but he turned and went, fucking hell, that's a better prize than what I won. And I was like a 13-year-old child that just won a trip to Kentucky. And he's come out and won like £1,500.
That's not what age did you end up winning at that?
Yeah, 13. I must have been, I was really young. 13. It was a long time ago now.
But the only thing
We
I've
were
ever
only
won is a blue
13.
pink
Yeah, I was so young. I might have been even younger, 11.
Wasn't it when it was the World Equestrian Games there? In Kentucky?
Yeah, in Kentucky, yeah.
So
I
whenever
think that was 08. I think 2008, 2009.
The World Equestrian Games. Why does it feel like I can picture you on a horse with a sword? It's almost like gladiators fight to the death. That's the vision I've got for
It's
it.
far from it, mate. It's far from it. But
that could be interesting though.
Might get more viewings, to be honest.
I mean, I'd go and see that. A couple of bevs down me, burger van. That is a proper Saturday out.
I'm pretty sure they have that in Florida. I think they call it like medieval knights or something. They have all their people dressed up as knights on horses and swords and stuff. So, and I think you sit around and have dinner and watch it. So you can come out to Florida.
There we go. That's my plan already.
There's some
set.
weird things out in America. To be fair.
They
No,
do
there's
a lot
so
of
much
things
more
out
here.
there. Yeah, do you remember when I at Red Hills when I kept trying to make you eat like weird stuff that they had? Like I tried to make him eat fried alligator.
Oh yeah, it was a fried alligator tail or something, wasn't it? Oh my
Yeah,
god,
and
it was
then-
awful. It was absolutely
And
awful.
boiled peanuts.
Yeah, it was absolutely terrible, absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And then every place we went to, it was my birthday, so then you get out like the rodeo seat, literally announce it to the whole restaurant, and I'm getting embarrassed in front of everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's awful.
They
Absolutely
brought like
awful.
a big saddle out, and they're like, "Everyone in the today is Josh's birthday," and they're like, "Get in the saddle," and he's like, "No." I don't think I have that on video still.
Yeah, I think you do. I think you do.
Post it
I'm
for the
pretty
world
sure I
to
have that on
see,
video.
Justine.
I
Post
also-
it for the world to see.
I think
do
you
that.
did. I'm sure you did put it on Facebook, to be honest. And also, I still remember that time when we went. Was it Dakota Beach? Daytona Beach. And we were
Yes.
down there, and we had like all the bikers. So like it was bike week, wasn't it, or something? At the same time, yeah, it's bike week. So you had like the bikers with all the beards and everything. Like it looked like they would stab you something.
Right.
But it was also spring break. So you had like college kids passed out on the beach, around surrounded by bikers. It was the craziest experience of my life.
It was
And then we're walking back, and I was like adamant I wanted to get a tattoo. And I think we were between the choice of either going to a strip club or the tattoo. And it was like, I can't remember what it was called. The strip club was called something and the fat one.
Something in the fat one.
It was on the sign. We have everything: a blonde one and a fat one.
Yeah, literally.
Just taking it back to your full, because I'm nosy and I'm inquisitive about this world. Is that quite a common thing, like that level of damage? Or is it common that a fall of that significance happens to riders? Because I'm like, if it was me and I was riding, that would discourage me for ever getting back on a horse. And just hearing how positive and happy you are and how well you've done for yourself is such a testament to your character. And it's so fascinating to me that there is a level of grit mentally within this industry that people have to be able to get back on a horse after suffering something that's so serious that you did.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. Like, it's not, I wouldn't call it common, but, people get hurt badly. Sometimes people die. But, it happens. And I do think you're right. There's a certain grit in the industry. And, obviously some people would be like, yeah, no, I'm done. But sort of when you're at that level and you've worked your whole life for it, like,
it's all isn't it? So
yeah, you're right. It's what you know.
Yeah.
So it's probably, I mean, it's hard to compare it to anything, but I guess like in football, if, you had like a really, really bad injury, I don't know whether it would like deter someone from playing football anymore, or I guess it's not really a fear factor there, but I don't know, maybe like motorbike racing or something, or car racing, I suppose, when they crash their cars on the NASCAR and, I look at that and I'm like, oh my God, your car's on fire and you're not going to get out. And then they're like, oh, I'm ready for my race next week. It's kind of, I suppose, the same thing. Like they know it's their thing and it's what they know.
Was there a moment for you where you thought, that is me done? I can't do this anymore?
For the eventing, yes, but it never occurred to me to not do the horses.
That's amazing. I had a very different incident when I was younger. I ended up getting quite bit quite badly by a dog, and it took me a while to even just like being in the presence of the animal was a bit of a moment. Now I absolutely love dogs, have done my whole life.
Yeah,
and I imagine that's almost the same for you. Like it's that love of a horse,
right.
that being around them and their atmosphere that they bring, that you almost okay, well, horse didn't plan to fuck me up today. It was a situation that happened, and the long-term bond and communication you have between human and animal is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, would I have gotten back on the same horse and gone and jumped that same jump again ever? No. Not going to do that. But I don't have to. There's other ways.
Have you revisited at all where it happened?
No, I haven't actually, because I mean, it was far enough away that I don't need to go there. Like Chris actually has been there a couple times, because Chris is a show jumping course designer, so he designs all around the country, and he's actually designed the show jumping there a few times. So he's kind of been there, and he wasn't there for the fall, but he's kind of always like a little bit weird about it,
Yeah,
of course.
But I'm kind of not past it. I mean, it will be a part of me, obviously, but I'm sort of at that point where and Josh probably understands, like, you don't think about it and get angry or upset or worried or anxious or anything about it now. It just kind of was a part of something that happened, and, kind of built on what I am now,
Was there anything that, excuse me if I phrase this right, is there anything that you could have done differently to prevent that? Now, because I don't know how you control a horse. I've only really recently seen you in the sandbox. Sand school.
Close. We're working on the phrasing.
The terminology. And like I was with you, Josh, last week, and you're saying, right, I'll lean this way and I'll swing the horse that way and it'll do this and it'll do that. I'm like, mate, I don't think you're doing anything. He was like, no, you don't actually understand. I'm actually kicking with this side and I'm moving it with that side. Looks normal to me. So was there anything that you could have, looking back on it, that you could have done differently, or was it one of those just freak accidents where the horse's
I think
comes out?
Look, I think there were some holes in my training. Like, I think there was that in hindsight, but that sort of is sort of where I was at that time. I do think after the fall, I rode with a different trainer who really helped me with my confidence and really kind of highlighted those holes in my training, and things that shouldn't have been there for me to go that level. So I do think that was something, it's something I could have chosen not to leave the start box. I was feeling a lot of anxiety, a lot of pressure to go. But ultimately I was the one that made the decision to leave the start box. So, I think there's many things leading up to it that could have been different.
So I guess really you've touched on a really important subject there, was more the support team around you as well. I guess how important the right team of people, and I think it's like you learn it as you go on. Like definitely. Of course, like even now, like with trainers, owners, the whole process is so important, having those right people around you, because if you don't, things go wrong.
Is it not much responsibility on the trainer if there are holes in your ability at the moment and they're putting you in situations that they potentially deem that you're not ready or competent or whatever to do? Is there not a level of responsibility on the trainer to go, actually, it's my job to say no? But what?
I guess you'd like to think so.
There is, but maybe they don't see that those holes are there where other trainers do, or it takes something like this to
happen, highlight the problems. And I guess again, just because someone's a very good rider doesn't mean they're a good trainer. It's two completely different things.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And maybe someone's not a good rider, but they could be the most amazing trainer. Except
or maybe they're crap at both.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Very true.
That's very true.
I was going to say Josh and throw you under, but no, he's the best. He's the ideal.
That's because you're, exactly.
But I guess it's no different to football. You could be a great football player, and some people then try to go into managing, and it's not really for them.
It's a different, like, really, training now isn't just training you and the horse. It's the help behind the scenes, making sure you're in the right mindset. It's it's mentoring basically, and they either sign up for that and they do it properly, or they don't. And unfortunately,
do they just train sort of like you and the horse, or is there an element of training your mindset?
I think the biggest thing I've learned, and I would be interested to hear what Just thinks as well, is I may not train with the best trainer now, but I train with someone that works for me as a person, and we're on the same page. That's all I want from a trainer. They do not have to be the best trainer in the country, because the best trainer in the country may not put me in the right mindset or be the right type of person for me. I just go with the trainer that I know. I can call them and I can talk to them for an hour, or if I've got any problems, they're always going to be fighting my corner. And I think sometimes you have a lot of people with ulterior motives. And I've definitely found that, and I guess just with 10 more years in the business than me, will know a lot more about than I do.
No, lots of trainers are different. Like, some you're just a paycheck to. And I don't think I've had any like that, but like you said, some have an ulterior motive. They want you to get to the highest level as quickly as possible, so that can be on their resume. They've got this many riders to this level, so that makes
you're
them
disposable.
Yeah, a little bit. And
you're almost a number in a way, rather than a person and a horse.
What can you do for them? Whereas others, others have like their training program, and this is how it is, and you fit within that. Whereas others, will look at each horse and rider and like work their training program around them specifically. Not everyone's the same. Not everyone works in the same box. You have to change things a little bit for people. So I think that's important. And recognizing, the human beings, the students, we do get nervous or, whatever. And I don't know. I think some trainers just kind of think that you can be robotic about it, like they can sometimes, if that makes sense.
And has this now impacted the way you train people? Or from your experiences, I guess, good and bad?
Yeah, every experience I have, I can kind of offer to other people. Well, not I want to offer, but you know what I mean. Like I can offer the knowledge that I've gained from every experience I have to other people.
Just punch them dead in the face and go, right, that's what it feels like to have a horse fall, and you get used to it. You'll be fine now. Absolutely.
Just lie them down and drop some bricks on them. In a bathtub with water.
Yeah. Welcome to the industry.
Yeah. Is with training for the younger people that get involved, is there, I don't know why I'm making a mental comparison to ballet. Almost there. It's very strict. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it, and the discipline behind it. There's a line that a teacher almost sort of goes into a grey area with how far they push a student, especially from a young age, to install that. Am I correct in saying, is that something that is in the industry?
I've seen that a lot. I've seen that, there's different ways of teaching. I've seen, there's some trainers that I see and know that are like aggressive, and like they'll stand swearing at students in the warm-up, tell them they're fucking useless and why am I even here? And like, it's like, I wouldn't want to train with that, some trainers like to tear people down, so they're the ones to bring them back up again. Everyone has a method.
Mind games almost, isn't it?
It's totally mind games for some of them. And then they build this little kind of cult of people around them that are so reliant on them and don't think there's anything else out there. I think some trainers, the trainer I have right now is great. He's very strict. I mean, not very strict. He's personable, but firm in that, like he's not going to just let me get away with doing stupid shit. If I jump around, I'll come out and, tell me what was great about it and he'll tell me what was not great about it. And, there's just no gray area.
It's just a relationship that's got to work both ways, isn't it? And I guess the best way to sum that up really is you need a trainer that you're not reliant on. Like, I think when a trainer makes you reliant on them, that's the problem. You need a trainer.
And that's it in a nutshell. And that's a little, I think that's a bit how the American industry is. Like, trainers like to own their clients. Like, no, you can't go and take this clinic with this person. No, you're not allowed to go and take a lesson. Like, I think they own them because they're afraid that someone else is going to be better than them.
And we do have that in the UK as well.
Right.
Definitely. I think that's, I don't know, maybe how the industry works. I think there's probably a lot of similarities in different industries too. And I think maybe it's the way people work. It's that element of jealousy and control that people sort of use. And when you get to a certain level, you've got that power, haven't you? If you're top rider, you've then got a standing in the industry, haven't you?
And I get it. There's like loyalty. Obviously, you want someone to be loyal to you. And it's, I think, much better to ride with someone consistently so they know you and your horse and your quirks and what you need and all that stuff. But, when it gets to the point of someone owning you and telling you what you can and can't do, then I think it becomes a problem.
It's almost like a toxic relationship, really. In a way, it is. It really is.
Yeah. No, and there's so many. There's not so many. That's not fair. But just being at the shows and kind of seeing it, and even knowing people, you're like,
how do you deal with that?
Can you pick it out in some people's styles of riding? Can you see someone riding and going, they've definitely been trained in a certain way?
Yeah, definitely. I think I see it a lot is. You've got, again, this goes back to the way trainers teach, is do they make you like them, ride exactly like them, or do they make you the best you? And I think that's a big problem we have over here.
Yeah.
For example, I'm not going to ride like Emil, Foray, like international dressage rider. So he can't train me to ride like him because I'll never ride like him, no matter how hard I try. But he can make me the best me. And I think a lot of trainers go wrong in that aspect.
Yeah, so that sounds like the right ethos to have, is to make you the best you, not to replicate what's already been done.
Exactly. So sometimes you can see it where it's almost like that spitting image of this top rider, and you can see it from the way it's style, and you're like, yeah, maybe. It is quite funny.
Not in a good way.
Some people say I play football like Messi, but I'm just the best me.
And then again, for me, a big learning curve that I've had is dealing and managing with owners. And I guess, again, for you, like I've had lost owners like you do, just the pressure and stress they put you under. And I guess a big moment that I talk about a lot is when I was competing against myself for the first time. I had 2 horses in the class and had 2 separate owners. And I remember going down the centre line thinking, no matter what I do today, you're never going to win. You're not going to keep everyone happy. Exactly. And I remember, like, why am I actually doing that? And that was probably 5 years ago or something now. And I guess really, like, how have you found dealing with that stress and pressure? Because my God, I'm not doing it at the level that you were and you are.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I don't necessarily have owners. Like, a couple of my horses are syndicated. But in the past, when I've had owners, I mean, I guess I was lucky in that the ones that were competing against each other, the owners themselves weren't necessarily competitive against each other, if that makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, the pressure and, you always feeling like they own you as well, because if you upset them, then you might lose the horse or whatever, they have so much control over you, the horse I had my bad fall on, he had an owner, and she ultimately gave him to someone else, which was totally the best thing that ever could have happened. But, that would have really sucked had I wanted the horse after that,
Yeah, exactly. exactly.
But yeah, you're totally under their kind of. But I think you've also got to find a way to not be under their control and just sort of be like, okay, well, this is how it is, and this is how we do it. And again, I'm in a place where I can be picky about who I want to have on board, and like I've certainly turned people down because I don't want to be involved with them and I don't want the stress.
No, I just want to. It comes back down to just being happy, really, doesn't it? And doing it for the reason that you started doing it initially. Again, for me now, I'm in the same situation. If I've got the owners that I do and they're fantastic, and that's that, and I will not do any more than that, because like all it takes is one negative person around you, and then it brings everything and everybody down. And we talk about that a lot in life, but it's like you say, it's that control element that they use, that they have that power over you to control everything you do.
Right, because having the right on the course is important.
Exactly.
One thing that you mentioned earlier, and I've not been able to stop thinking about it because I've got like really bizarre like imagery of it. Importing and selling horses, because this is what part of your business that you go and do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Justine, how the fuck do you import a horse? Asking for a friend.
Well, they get on a plane and they come over here. Basically.
Is that it? They just get on the plane and then that's it. That must be a big customs form.
They don't sit in the departures lounge and like wander over the plane and sit in their seat. No, there's a lot. Actually, my friend / partner, I guess in the UK, Kate Tarrant, she deals with all that side of things for me. But there's certain, obviously, companies that fly the horses, and they know all the forms and the blood that needs to be done. And Kate's done it many times, so she knows the whole process. And then they have to get here, and we have another company we deal with that deals with all everything this end, the quarantine, and them arriving and then them getting from the quarantine to us. So it's quite a lot of steps that have to be done. But again, I'm lucky to have Kate doing everything in the UK and kind of really good companies that we've dealt with for years over there.
Do they all come like, right, okay, next Tuesday we've got a cargo plane going out, we can take 7 horses, or does one lucky horse get a full plane to itself and then it's like a first class experience?
Typically, they travel in crates of 3. So you essentially would pay for a third of a crate. Now, if you wanted your horse to have a whole crate, then you would pay for that entire crate.
Are you telling me there are horse upgrades?
Essentially, yes, there are.
What the fuck? I'm telling you, there is too much money in this fucking industry that a horse can go economy. No, fuck that. I find business.
That's actually amazing. That's the greatest summary I've ever heard.
Basically, telling me they get fucking wash bags.
Yeah. So yeah, you could have the whole crate, or we always pay for a third. Why would you pay for the whole thing? And then they show up and sit in quarantine, and hopefully the thing is, if one horse on the flight has tested positive for something in their blood, then once they get to the US, then the entire flight will have to quarantine for whatever period of time, another 2 weeks, at the cost of each owner. So this actually just happened to a friend of mine. She imported something, and then one of the horses on the flight tested positive for glanders, which is actually a disease that is eradicated in Europe. But there's something about the testing protocol in Europe, and like it tested negative in Europe, and it was maybe inconclusive in the US. But long story short, that whole flight has had to quarantine for 2 weeks, and my friend's getting charged $300 a day for her horse standing in quarantine for 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that kind of sucks.
You'd be pissed if you was one of the other owners that
literally
had a horse on that flight.
Well, she is one of the other owners.
Yeah, you'd be pissed. That's mental.
That is crazy.
Well, is there like a specific place that horses bred are best imported from?
Not really. Ours will get imported to New York and Miami. I think they actually fly out of Liège, or they can fly out of Amsterdam, maybe. But yeah, they don't fly out of England. They kind of go to Europe first and then fly.
Wow. That is mental. So where do you see everything with the training, with the importing? Where do you see it all going in the next 5 years? Where do you see Justine Dutton 5 years from now? Pinnacle.
Married yet? Is marriage on the cards?
Yeah, at some point. Yeah.
American wedding. The Brits will crash it.
I know. Yeah, we'll probably have it in like Miami or Vegas. So.
Do you know what? I reserve a comment, but I do want to be reserved on the list.
Yeah. Take the girlfriend, I can't take you. We'll have a better time.
Who said that? I am sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. In 5 years, I'd hope to be still doing what I'm doing and being successful, and maybe, jumping some bigger classes. And yeah, I don't have any, maybe one day down the road, if maybe I'd make it onto a Nations Cup jumping team. I don't know. Like, that, is that my ultimate goal? Not necessarily, but if I ended up being good enough or having good enough horses, then it certainly is something I could aim for.
Would you be the first Brit to do that? Would you be the first Brit to compete on the Eventing Nations Cup team?
No.
No?
I don't think so. I don't know the answer to that question, actually, because there's certainly Germans that have done that, and certainly Americans. I don't know about
But maybe you might be the first Brit. That'd be insane. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to end it slightly differently.
Okay. Interesting.
Instead of asking the same question, slightly adjust it. How would you like to be remembered, Justine?
What, when I'm dead?
When you're dead. Long and gone. How would you like to be remembered?
You mean like remembered like after this interview, or when I'm dead?
When you're dead. Let's go morbid but also positive at the same time.
I don't know, like someone that was fun and happy and successful, I guess. Yeah. I don't really have anything more interesting than that.
No, sometimes that's just the best way to be. Nice and simple.
I don't want to be remembered as some like weird drug addict or something. Not that I am.
I was going to say, Justine, are you a weird drug addict on stage?
Or some crazy cat lady or something stupid. We don't have
just
cats.
Just stick with the crazy horse lady. That's fine. No, that was good. Justine, it has been an absolute pleasure to be involved in this family reunion.
I was going to say, it's literally the first time that I've seen you, maybe, in 4 years? Well, not even seen
something
you.
Like that.
Something like that. It's crazy.
It's fun. We're flying out there next year the minute the restrictions are relaxed.
Oh, you are?
Because there's a big old farm I want to see. And it sounds I'm going down to Daytona Beach, baby. I've got a Vegas wedding. I've got my whole 2021 calendar booked up in an hour session of an interview. I love it.
We'll just have to make sure we tell everyone it's his birthday in every restaurant.
Oh, don't worry.
Well, now I'm 24. It'll be a lot better for me because I can drink and actually do what I want. I've never partied out there.
When you were 18, every place we went, he'd try and get a drink, and I'd be like, Josh, they are really strict. They ask for ID everywhere. Oh, no, it's fine. Every restaurant. Oh, can I have a beer? They'd be like, where's your ID? Oh,
I
left it at home.
I was drinking vodka in a park at 12.
Yeah.
It's been amazing. And we just want to say to everyone listening, thank you for the support we've had for the launch, especially to our American brothers and sisters. Have absolutely killed it on the first week of sales, that we've absolutely had to incorporate international sales. And it's just a real mind-blowing experience. Yeah. Alpha Classic, Alpha Street, now on sale, www.halfstepequestrian.com. We love it. Get that little plug in there.
Fantastic.
Justine, thank you for being on. And Source of Horses, out.